Hi, this is Emily Freitag, and I'm so happy today to be here with Alejandro Gibes, who is the CEO of Springboard Collaborative and Paloma. And as we do with all of these interviews, we're going to learn about Alejandro, we're going to learn about the product, and we're going to learn about its impact. So we are here to talk about Paloma, which is specifically a foundational skills focused reading product. So Alejandro, start with yourself. Tell us your story and how you came to be an ed tech product developer.
Yeah, somewhat inadvertently, maybe even begrudgingly, but there's a path that got me here. So I'm Alejandro. I'm a man on a mission to help parents support their kids' learning and success. For me, it's a personal mission that starts with my own parents. My family came to the US when I was 7. We ended up in Carrollton, Georgia, where my parents quickly realized that schools serving low-income families like mine don't always live up to the dream that brought you there. And so while the school funneled my sister and me into special education because they didn't know what to do with two kids who didn't speak English, my parents they saw kind of the fullest version of our potential and they put us on the path. They helped us overcome the odds, pursue our dreams. We both went to great colleges. We both committed our lives to helping other parents do for their children what our parents had done for us. When I graduated, I became a teacher. I was a bilingual first grade teacher in Philadelphia, in North Philly. And there I felt the same disconnect that I grew up with. I saw a school system that too often was approaching parents as liabilities rather than as assets, even though parents play the biggest role in their kids' life and learning outcomes. In a lot of ways, it felt like parents were the teachers we forgot to order curriculum for.
Mm.
So that's the light bulb that went off for me. 15 years ago, I started Springboard Collaborative, a nonprofit that runs out of school time programs and in school tutoring programs that train parents to teach their kids to read. Scaled that work across the country. The kind of path that led me to Paloma was trying to figure out what lives in tier one. Like Springboard's
Mhm.
a service for struggling readers. Tier two, it's an intervention for a subset of kids that need it. What I tried to answer via Paloma was like where the HQIM for parents, right? How do we
Mhm.
equip and enable every caregiver to play a daily active role supporting learning at home? So that's been the journey now for uh, coming up on 3 years.
And so tell us about Paloma. Unique among the products that we're studying on this tour, it is not a product aimed to be used in schools, but it's actually aimed to be used at home. But tell us like exactly how this works.
Yeah, I'll start with like the founding insight and then I'll share my screen in a second and show you what it looks like so you don't have to imagine it. So the kind of core insight underneath Paloma is that the reason schools serving wealthy communities outperform, it's not because they've got smarter kids or better
Mhm.
teachers or they chose some different curriculum or they've got fancier tech. More than anything, it's because parents with privilege are conferring advantages on their kids
Mhm.
hour after hour, day after day, year after year. Those advantages start long before the kid ever shows up at school and they
Mhm.
continue long after. They compound daily, annually, and over time they calcify as the achievement gap. So the light bulb that went off for me was like, unless and until we help all families, especially the families furthest from privilege, to support learning at home, we're going to continue to see the inequities
Mhm.
that have kind of plagued our education system for decades on end. So that's the gap that we exist to fill. How do we help every parent take that intention that lives deep within them to support their
Mhm.
children's learning and success, translate that into an instructional practice, like what am I doing
Mhm.
about it on a Tuesday night? Turn that practice into a habit, as
Mhm.
engaging in my kids' learning become a daily routine, and then turn that habit into an identity. Do I,
Mhm.
as a caregiver, feel equipped and enabled to help my kid thrive?
Mhm.
You can scaffold each of those steps, but they tend not to happen by themselves, especially if you're feeling all of like the headwinds of life and poverty. Uh,
Mhm.
Much more concretely, what Paloma does, it's a mobile app that helps pre-K through second grade families build a habit of tutoring their kids for 15 minutes a day. Rigorous, curriculum aligned, and joyful instruction daily at home. I know 15 minutes doesn't sound like a lot, which is, how overwhelmed parents like myself
Mhm.
can hang on for dear life.
Mhm.
But the minutes add up fast. We're seeing
Mm-hmm.
teachers add up to 1,000 extra hours of one-on-one instruction just in their classroom when families build that small but mighty habit.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part about it is that humans aren't so good at building habits, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
following through on a New Year's resolution or getting to the gym or engaging daily in your kids'
Mm-hmm.
learning. That's really the hill to climb. The tool lives in tier one, so just like every teacher needs HQIM to be effective in their classroom practice, every parent needs them too if they're going to play a daily active role supporting learning
Mm-hmm.
at home. And families receive the materials via text message. So I'll show you actually what it looks like every day. Families get a text at a time that they pre-select. So I do Paloma with my daughter before bedtime. So 6:45 p.m. My phone buzzes and it's off to the races. You click in, there's no password, no download, no login, really trying to minimize friction to maximize access.
Mm-hmm.
And families receive the guidance in their home language. So I speak Spanish to my daughters. All of Paloma's guidance to me is in Spanish, even though I'm teaching Alma letter sounds in English. Every day has the same three building blocks, a gradual release. I do, we do, you do. I do is a short video, like 45 seconds, explaining to the family, hey, here's what your kid is learning in school and how you can reinforce those foundational skills at home. We map parents' scope and sequence to the district core curricula so that there's perfect coherence between what, when, and how is a student learning the R-controlled vowel in the classroom. And then as a
Mm-hmm.
caregiver, what the heck is an R-controlled vowel and like how do I
Mm-hmm.
reinforce that at home? We can also personalize the path. So if there's a particular skill that a student just needs extra at-bats with, we can easily point the family in that direction. You know, for my daughter, until we finally had a breakthrough, it was the CH digraph. That was like our Everest.
Mm-hmm.
So we can tailor it as needed. After I do comes we do. Mondays are often phonological awareness. When do you or don't you hear the R sound? My daughter likes to dance around the room like a ballerina whenever she hears it, but every family
Mm-hmm.
makes it their own. But importantly, it's designed to be an interaction, not screen time.
Mm-hmm.
There's scaffolding built in. So whether a student is struggling with a word or maybe a parent is learning to read in English alongside their child, you can click on the word here, shark, shark.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds light up as you hear them. You can drag your finger along the bottom. Just to ensure everyone's got the scaffolding they need to be able to confidently and effectively be an
Mm-hmm.
at-home learning coach. And then every day ends with a decodable book or a math story problem in districts that are using Paloma for both literacy and numeracy, where the student is further practicing the skill they've been working on. And we provide coaching tips for the caregiver to know what kinds of questions can I ask? What do I do if my kid gets stuck? How can I be an effective tutor in this interaction?
Mm-hmm.
They finish the book. Most families save their favorites to their home library and reread them, even though that's above and beyond. The decodables are also accessible to teachers because they kept asking us for them. We do all the stuff Duolingo does to help people stay consistent in building that habit, whether it's earning your streak. When you
Mm-hmm.
finish your first lesson of the week, you get your Palomita sticker of the week. This week we got Monster Truck Palomita. Next week, who knows? But I get as
Mm-hmm.
excited as my daughter does about collecting them. Everyone's favorite part, though, and I'm no exception, is that when you finish your tutoring session on Monday, Paloma asks you, what do you want this week's special story to be about? You turn to your child and you choose whatever's bringing them joy, and we'll personalize a decodable for you on that topic that week. The trick is, and this is the last piece I'll share quickly, you have to complete your third tutoring session of the week to unlock the special story. That's how we get so much consistency, is your kid won't let you forget. The Wednesday videos coach you through common pitfalls and how to help your child navigate them. Small example, my daughter had been struggling with the and sounds, getting them mixed
Mm-hmm.
up. And so the tip had us take a selfie, making each letter sound, and we'd quiz each other with the pictures to see, can you tell what sound I'm making just based on the shape of my mouth? It really helped her to get unstuck. But the big realization I had was thinking back on my classroom, I had 31 kids in front of me. Did I notice every time any one learner was a little shaky with a skill I
Mm-hmm.
introduced? And even when I did, like, could I carve out the time to individually conference with each child
Mm-hmm.
and ensure that they were getting all of the reps they needed to kind of get to automaticity? If I'm honest, the answer is not nearly as often as I would have liked to.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can equip caregivers to play that daily one-on-one reinforcement role, that's really the big unlock.
Mm-hmm.
And if Alma rather on Monday says this week. I really want the shark story. Her wish is our command.
Hmm.
Pedagogically, you're still practicing the skill you've been working on, which is coherent with what your teacher is doing in the classroom. So to Alma, it all makes sense. Y'all are all on the same team, helping me with the same thing, but you're doing it in a way that feels magical,
Hmm.
and we illustrate kids
Personal. Hmm.
totally. Like you literally, you see yourself as
Hmm.
the protagonist
Did
in your
Alma
story.
get to pick out her own avatar for that photo?
Yeah, so in the onboarding process, you decide kind of how you want to be represented, and
Hmm.
then you get to have the experience I wish I would have had growing up of being able to see, yourself
Hmm. In
in
a
what you're
lot
reading.
of different books. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll pause there. Hopefully that gives you a sense for like day in and day out, what can it look like for parents to be on the teaching team?
Yeah. So let me try to mirror back what I hear this trying to do. So I like how you describe it as like the HQIM or the high quality instructional materials for parents. And it feels like you're almost enlisting parents as maybe schools would think of them as like extra tutors. So that you can increase the instructional time on task around foundational skills. And Paloma gives the parents the assist to be able to do that in a practical way and in a effective pedagogical way. Did I get it right?
You nailed it. Parents are the tutors hiding in plain sight.
I love it. And so what do you know about like how it's going for people using it? I got a chance to see some different videos of parents using it with their kids.
Yeah.
And tell us like both the stats on usage, but then also kind of what you know about what's going well and where there might still be challenges and how that's going for parents.
Yeah, great questions. So, first of all, I'll share kind of the who. We
Hmm.
partner with Title I districts around the country. So 55 districts, places like LUSD, New York City Public Schools, Houston
Hmm.
Independent School District, Guilford County, Jackson,
Hmm.
Mississippi. Hopefully that gives you a sense for the who. Two states so far, Kentucky and Oklahoma, as part of their
Hmm.
like science of reading, kind of read at home plan
Hmm.
legislation. So that's the who. In terms of what we're seeing so far, we agree on success metrics with each partner up front, just so that we're kind of looking at the win the same way.
Hmm.
Usually it's four things, occasionally a fifth worth mentioning. The first is always utilization. Uh, I feel like the broken promise of education technology is that two-thirds of all the licenses that get
Hmm.
sold never get used, not a
Hmm.
once. It's
Hmm.
like been mostly an expensive nothing burger, right? Which is
Hmm.
which is why I was like a reluctant education technologist because I
Hmm.
always thought of it as something that like only 5% of the licenses that get used at a dosage that
Hmm.
drives impact, right? So that's the first mountain to climb. It's why we focus as much as we do on habit formation. So utilization across all of our district partners of all the pre-K to 2 families who sent their
Hmm.
kid to a school that had access to Paloma. Last year we got 74% of all parents to successfully tutor their children. The next thing we look at though is dosage, because
Hmm.
just because I sign up for Planet Fitness in January doesn't
Hmm.
mean that you'll see me there in June. And if anything,
Hmm.
they're counting on me not being there.
Hmm.
And so that the habit kind of makes or breaks kind of the magnitude of impact that a tool can have. Last year, we saw two-thirds of participating families tutor their kids at high dosage, so at least 3 times per week, and sustain that habit the whole year long. And any given week, a family that's active on Paloma on average completes four of the
Hmm.
five tutoring sessions that are assigned to them. Uh,
Hmm.
the reason that habit formation matters so much is it unlocks just a world of instructional time that otherwise just lays dormant
Hmm.
beneath the surface. So, on average, teachers see their classroom engage in 10 hours of one-on-one instruction every single week.
Hmm.
You could do that by yourself as a teacher if you yourself stayed after school for 2 hours a day,
Yeah. Cloned
Monday to
yourself.
Friday.
Yeah.
Come one, come all, I'll tutor
Hmm.
you. Show me a teacher that doesn't want to go home at the end of a long day. So what makes it sustainable
Hmm.
is kind of doing that in partnership with parents as your teaching team.
Hmm.
And then the fourth and most important link in the chain is to what extent did all that extra instructional time, did all those at-bats help move the needle on learning outcomes within the classroom?
Hmm.
So with every one of our partners, we do a mid-year and end-of-year impact study for both a treatment group and a control group using the district's own assessment data.
Hmm.
And we look at it. It hasn't been an RCT, so take it all with a
Hmm.
grain of salt.
Hmm.
But we control for like a handful of variables. The most recent study, what we saw was that families using Paloma at dosage, their kids made 64% more reading growth than the control group.
That's on their
Multilingual learners
screeners. Is that how
on
you're
whatever
assessing
assessment
it?
they're using. So
Yeah.
if like if the district is using Dibbles or
Yeah.
kind of iReady or MAP, kind of whatever it is that they're using, the district's data is the ultimate
Hmm.
kind of arbiter of truth from our perspective on reading growth.
Yeah.
Multilingual learners outperformed, so they almost
Hmm.
doubled their
Mm.
progress. And then the kids furthest behind grade level, they more than doubled their
Mm.
progress. The effect size was on par with like high dosage tutoring that
Hmm.
you'd expect a professional a professional tutor to deliver, uh, but
Hmm.
much more affordable since parents are doing it from a place of deep intrinsic motivation, not asking for $50 an hour to spend
Hmm.
time with their
With
kids.
their own kids learning to read. Yeah. Um, so cool. What are you working on? What like if you could make the equation better in any way, what would
Yeah.
you wave a wand and do to make this go even better?
Yeah, great question. And I forgot one thing, enrollment. So
Hmm.
one of our districts did their own independent study of enrollment, hoping that like they've been struggling to climb enrollment. They wanted to
Hmm.
see if families feel
School
like they've got
enrollment.
totally.
Yeah, got it.
So that's kind of been their number one problem to solve, just because of its impact
Hmm.
on
Everything.
their budget. And yeah, and so they want to see if families feel like they're more kind of woven in, and if they feel like
Hmm.
they've got visibility and agency in their kids' learning, or are they less likely to grab
Hmm.
a voucher and walk out the door. They were hoping to see a 1% reduction in their withdrawal rate. They saw a 52% reduction in their
Hmm.
withdrawal rate.
Hmm.
To me, the takeaway is like you take any outcome that we care about, whether it's like an academic outcome or
Hmm.
attendance or enrollment, and you follow it far enough upstream, especially like
Hmm.
in early elementary, you get to a parent who's influencing it really
Hmm.
directly. That's where the leverage lives.
Hmm.
In terms of what we're working on, oh my gosh, so many things. One, we're always kind of fixated on the habit formation challenge, so that there's
Hmm.
additional loops that we want to build. There's kind of
Hmm.
the family loop, and how do you make that the most kind of joyful, emotionally resonant, kind of habit forming experience. But
Hmm.
there's also like the classroom loop, and so we're building more and
Hmm.
more tools like classroom challenges and leaderboards and
Hmm.
other ways to give the teacher a tailwind in kind of creating this community of people who are engaging in the resource together.
Hmm.
There's the school loop, there's the community loop, so that there's
Hmm.
a lot that you can do to create those kind of just to give people a tailwind
Yep.
in taking their intentions and turning them into habits. So that's like a never-ending body of work that we engage in. The biggest kind of head-scratching challenge that I'm trying to navigate my way through, and if anyone out there
Hmm.
listening has brilliant
Hmm.
insights, come talk to me about it. Uh, Finding the sweet spot of curricular alignment and coherence with like personalization.
Hmm.
We've put a lot of energy and effort into the curricular coherence piece of what we do, and
Hmm.
districts have valued that. So there's a totally different set of videos and decodables and completely different set of resources if you're using foundations versus EL versus
Hmm.
CKLA. So really tightly aligned down to the hand
Hmm.
signal that the teacher's using in the classroom is the hand signal that the family is using at home. And there's a lot
Hmm.
of benefit to having parents kind of jump into tier one instruction and work in tandem with the teacher. I
Hmm.
think in metaphors, so I think of painting, the teacher puts down the layer of primer, maybe the first coat of paint.
Hmm.
Sometimes that's all they get to in the
Hmm.
classroom. And for some kids, it's enough, but for many, it's not. And then
Hmm.
the parent comes in and puts down third layer of paint, top coat. And
Hmm.
that's really kind of the combination that helps kids, master
Cement.
skills along the
Hmm.
way, grade level. Uh, the challenge, though, is that when you index so much to that, then what we're trying to figure out is how do we simultaneously kind of anchor to the curriculum, but also enable families to spend more time on the
Hmm.
skills that their kid needs more time with, and
Hmm.
less time on the ones that they
Hmm.
don't. So that's really kind of the balance
Hmm.
that we're trying to find our way in
Hmm.
striking.
I think across this tour, the question of how tightly to align to the curriculum versus how much to give the tool a chance to personalize for students is a theme. So you're
Yeah.
not alone in that question. Sticking with foundational skills or any plans to go into comprehension in deeper ways?
Yeah, definitely. Big vision, both in terms of comprehension, and so we're fitting a lot of that into like the coaching tips that we offer families, because that's really
Hmm.
your chance to to engage in dialogue
Mm-hmm.
around a text, but also like big visions beyond even literacy and numeracy. Like
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, the vision for Paloma, like I want a world in which every caregiver is enabled to help their kids thrive, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
open my eyes and have the world I see behind my eyelids and the world I see in front of me, be one and the same. And so that means that we want to build like the operating system for parenting. We want to
Mm-hmm.
guide caregivers through all the twists and turns of their
Mm-hmm.
children's development, from pregnancy to
Mm.
infancy to entering school to middle school to high school to life planning, college
Yeah.
applications, FAFSA. Like parents play an outsized role in how things shake out for their
Yeah.
kids at every point along the journey. Uh, and parents are also wildly under supported in
Yeah.
that adventure, right? Like we couldn't take home
I
a
feel
baby,
that. Yeah.
right? It's wild. Like you can't take home your baby without a car seat, right? But
Yeah.
after that, our society kind of just says like, so
Good
good
luck.
luck with that, right? It's the most common and consequential form of work in every society, parenting, and yet like we
Yeah.
dramatically underinvested
Mm-hmm.
underinvested in it. And so then, people with time, resource, privilege, like
Yeah.
are able to confer advantage on their kids, and everyone else is left to struggle. And then we kind of scratch our heads and point a finger at the school saying, it's your
Yeah.
fault. What'd you do? And it's like,
Yeah.
whoa, we really need to invest in families. So long story short, like our vision for Paloma is to guide parents in any and all
Mm-hmm.
things that are related to their children's development.
Mm-hmm.
And early literacy and numeracy has been kind of the entry point to what we see as a broader charge.
I have do you have a Paloma for how to talk to our kids about puberty? Because we have that question coming up in our house.
Not yet, but we will, right? Like that,
Yep.
it's there's a lot of like high consequence like
Yeah.
interactions that oof, it's hard to figure out on your own.
Yeah, definitely. Alejandro, thank you so much for this conversation and for the work you're doing. And we look forward to keeping in touch about where Paloma goes.
Thanks for having me.